What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to the Double M Show. We are happy to have you here on another Tuesday evening where we talk about anything from the urban culture to sports. This is where you get it all. DJ Means, and to my left, as always, you got Mr. Mike. Nice. How's it going, man?
It's another Tuesday. We're back. We're doing what we love to do. Uh, and I'm excited for the show because I'm expecting things to possibly get a little spicy here.
Things to get a little spicy.
Possibly.
Okay, man. I'm for it. I'm for any type of conversation that can get mild to spicy. I eat everything, and I don't mind spicy food.
In my younger days, I could demolish spicy food. Now, as I've gotten older, something about spicy food don't sit right with my stomach. Tastes great.
Sorry to hear that.
It tastes great. Like, I still enjoy it. Tell me about a spicy meal. I want it, but I have to pay the price.
Yeah, all good things come with cost.
Oh boy. I pay the price now for real.
And spicy things are great. But yes, like you said, you will be feeling a little bit of repercussions later on if you do have some spiciness. But let's see if we can have some spicy in this show with no repercussions.
None, please.
Want no trouble out here.
In
these double M
family
streets.
friendly show. PG-13, maybe PG-16. I don't know. Just keep it cool.
So, man, if we're gonna talk spicy, we gotta give the people the menu. What's on the menu?
Absolutely. So, on the menu, NBA season just wrapped up in the 2019-2020 season, even though it's
crazy.
We're in October and that season just ended, but the 2019-2020 NBA season just ended where the Los Angeles Lakers won their record-tying 17th championship, tying the Boston Celtics after defeating the Miami Heat in 6 games, where LeBron James was crowned Finals MVP. And, 2 things we definitely want to talk about revolving the NBA. First and foremost, the NBA season in the bubble in Orlando, how much of a success it was, put together by Adam Silver and the rest of his team. They had this idea of putting together a bubble in Orlando in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic taking place, and they made it all the way to the end successfully. So we're going to touch upon that for sure when we talk about the NBA. And then the Lakers tying the Celtics with championships, and specifically the 4th championship for LeBron James.
Right.
This is, again, his 4th championship, his 4th Finals MVP. He's now won a championship with 3 different organizations. And here we go again, the conversations of where does this now rank LeBron James? Has he risen up in the ranks? Is he staying the same? Do people have him in this one spot compared to another spot now that he has this championship? A lot of different conversations can happen and pop off with that. So we're definitely going to have this conversation about LeBron James, the Lakers, NBA, and we want to hear from you guys for sure. Also, in the world of NBA as well, today is a Boston Celtic legend's birthday, number 34, the Truth, Paul Pierce. So we're going to talk about Pierce, celebrate his career, his time in Boston, his NBA career. And I got an interesting question I want to ask you. I want to ask the people tuned in. What's going on, Rondo? How you doing, man? I want to ask everybody about Paul Pierce, if they follow his career and know about him. An interesting question I want to ask for sure. Also, last week when we were doing the show, the vice presidential debate took place between Vice President Pence and Kamala Harris. And it was definitely different than the presidential debate for sure. So we're going to look back on that debate, how it went, how we think both sides did in terms of topics and everything surrounding the debate. We're going to look back at it for sure. We want to hear how you guys felt about it as well if you were tuned in. Obviously want to talk about that. And then you know for sure, we always pushing vote on this show. Voting is huge. Voting is really open and taking place. Elections happen in a couple weeks. It's an important time. We continue to preach that every week on this show. The importance of this upcoming election, the importance of voting. Got to make it happen. Make your voice heard by voting, and we're gonna continue to push that. But yeah, that's a little bit of what's on the menu. You know, these topics can escalate and formulate and break down and go in various different ways. But yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Reiterating on the voting, if you can vote, vote early. Vote early if you can. Find out how you can vote early, especially if you're trying to avoid all of these COVID related issues that are going on in our world today. Can I suggest where we start off?
Man, whatever you like, Marv. Whatever you like.
If we're going to do some spicy, someone who always brings a spicy conversation to things is Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce, where he lands in, his career and all that he's done for the Boston Celtics in this new age era. People really know Pierce pretty much from the big three on. If you really ask an average NBA fan, you just think he just played with Garnett his whole career. And then, went to the Nets. He was a journeyman at the end of his career. Pretty much. And that's how how the average NBA fan knows Paul Pierce. Now, if you're from the Bean, you from Boston, you know the trials and tribulations that Pierce had coming up with the Boston Celtics, and then how he finally in 2008, his arc where he finally won his championship, Finals MVP, and went from there. He's a very interesting player in the NBA due to the fact that players respect Pierce. Players respect him, know what he can do. But due to the fact of where he started to deteriorate in his career, and when social media started to get up, there's a different version of how Pierce is known out there in the world.
Very true.
And first of all, we just want to say happy birthday, Pierce.
I think it's 43 today.
43.
43 years old.
Still young. You still got a lot of life left.
Quarterbacks out there, 43 playing sports.
Right. So Paul Pierce, 43. He has his new career. People are starting to know him more for his announcing, which means he's doing something right. He's found his niche definitely on ESPN, and he knows how to get people talking. That's Pierce. He knows how to rub people the wrong way. He does. And if you knew Pierce from basketball career, you know him now. He don't give a damn. He comes from that old school mentality that he's gonna ruffle some feathers, and that's just how he is. One of my favorite players, man, growing up. Loved Paul Pierce. That was our guy. When you're playing for a crappy team, we still had our superstar who at any given night was going to drop 30 and put his team on the back to try to carry us. And the way he did it was different than the Tracy McGrady's and the Kobe Bryant's and the Allen Iverson. He wasn't as flashy. He had his own little style, but he was Boston. And yeah, man, Paul Pierce, one of my goats, when you're talking about Boston legends, and we had a lot of Boston legends growing up. We had the David Ortiz, we had Pierce, we had Tom Brady, so shout out to Paul Pierce for real.
Absolutely. Like you said just now, those early 2000s, Celtics sucked. Like, let's not make no mistake. But I mean, they had a couple playoff berths, but they were never really a threat to win anything early on in Pierce's career. But, early on, it was Pierce and Antoine Walker, who, they were the tag team here in Boston. Again, solid tag team, but the Celtics in total weren't ever really a threat to win anything. But you knew Antoine Walker and especially Paul Pierce were going to put up some numbers. Antoine made a couple All-Star games. Once we got into the 2000s, Pierce started making a couple All-Star games. Like, they were good players, just on bad teams.
Yep.
And I mean, being from Boston, Celtics are our team. That's the team we watch all the time. Pierce is the guy, but he's just never winning anything. And I mean, of course, as fans, you can't stand it because you like the guy, but the team sucks. And of course, him, after a while, it started to take a toll on him as well. He's playing great basketball. We're talking all-star appearances, 20 plus points per game, but the team sucks. And we all know what happened come 2008. Danny Ainge makes some moves. You get the new big three with Ray Allen and Pierce, and then Pierce
Ray Allen, KG.
Ray Allen and KG, and then the Celtics have some success. They win a championship. Oh wait, the team is relevant. Getting deep into the playoffs, making a couple Eastern Conference Finals. They made another Finals appearance, but again, he turned into a journeyman to end his career. Bouncing around from team to team, sitting at the end of a bench, not getting any playing time. And obviously, you don't like seeing one of your favorite superstars of all time, end his career like that, obviously, but that's just how it went down for him. My thing is, even though he ended his career as a journeyman, he still had a stretch from when he first came into the league all the way through those big three eras. And how many years did he play in the league? I want to say
Pierce, 17.
And he played for the Celtics for 13 years in Celtics. So he had 13 years of playing all-star level basketball, which is pretty damn good. Pretty good. And take out the journey years after that, those 13 years where he played at an all-star level, you can make an argument during the time he was top 20 player in the league for the majority of those of those years. I'm not saying now all time Pierce is a top 20 player of all time. I'm not saying that. But if you want to break it down a little bit more, if you look at small forwards, would you have Paul Pierce? This is a question for you, anybody tuned in, watching. Would you have Pierce right now, after the career that he's had, in terms of just looking at small forwards, that's the position he played, is he like a top 10 small forward all time to you?
Top 10. That's not spicy. That's too easy. Yeah, he's top 10.
He's top 10?
Top 10 is too easy.
Okay.
Make it. Come on. Now.
Hold on. Okay. Top 10, because I know you're probably not giving him top 5. I know you're not giving him top 5. All time.
If top 10 is too easy, say it. That's the question.
Is Pierce top 5 all time small forward to you?
No.
Okay. Now
he's in the range.
He's in the range.
5 to 10.
But you'd say he's top 10 easily.
I think he's top 10 easily.
Now, conversation Boston fans always have is, damn, that big three should have won 3 straight.
Yes.
That big three should have got 3 rings out of Pierce, Garnett, and Ray Allen. They should have. Imagine that happened. Pierce still had the same career he's had, but now you're looking at a Paul Pierce career with 3 championship rings.
You telling me Pierce has 3 championship rings?
Same career.
And same career. He has 3 championship rings, but now is he getting those 3 final MVPs as well? Is he the reason why? We got to remember now, the 2010 team was carried by Rondo. That was Rondo's team. I think he has, if they got 3 championships in a row, bang, 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 from 08, 09, 2010, I would say Rondo gets 1, maybe 2. Pierce possibly could get 2 out of the 3. Pierce possibly could get 2 out of 3. You're talking about an uninjured Kevin Garnett who could have possibly got that Finals MVP.
Well, in
2009 as well, because these things matter when we're trying to get to the nitty-gritty.
I hear you.
And the reason why they matter is because if you want to put them in top 5, now you're gonna have to compare them to the likes of Kevin Durant, Larry Bird, LeBron James.
Exactly. What other great small forwards out there that are slipping my mind? But there's some guys out there, obviously.
Because right now, top small forwards, you have to. For me, people are gonna get upset that I have, especially Boston people.
Oh boy,
it's Braun, KD, Bird. People are gonna be upset about that, but KD's better than Larry Bird. I'm sorry. Every time I say it, I get crazy pushback about it.
Tough.
But for me, top 3 is Braun, KD, Larry Bird.
It's tough. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation to get into. It's tough for me with KD and Larry Bird. I go back and forth all the time, but I can understand people's arguments. But yeah,
and then from there, that's when you get the mix of small forwards who you gonna put in there?
Yeah, it's really slippy because I mean, small forward, you know who the top guys are for sure when you're talking about small forwards in NBA history. LeBron James, Larry Bird, Kevin Durant, Scottie Pippen. There's other guys who clearly I'm not naming right now.
Dr. J, Dominique
Dr.
Wilkins.
J, Dominique. Like, there are a lot of great.
Kawhi's ranking is moving up on the ranking.
Kawhi, oh man. But yeah, this also thank you for pulling up that list. There's some quality, solid small forwards out there. And even if you're looking at thumb names, Pierce is behind. Let's get through LeBron, Bird, and KD. Pierce to me is behind Pippen.
Yeah.
Pierce might be behind Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi doesn't have the longevity yet. But
Kawhi's a better player than Pierce.
Pierce is behind Kawhi. Pierce might be behind Dr. J.
Pierce is behind Dr. J.
So that's already taking him out the top 5.
Right.
If Pierce gets 3 rings with the new Big 3 era and same career stats,
Pierce
everything.
Gets 3. Listen to me. Pierce gets 3 rings with the scoring accomplishments he had prior. You can make an argument Pierce is better than Scottie Pippen. You can make that argument. The number 1 on his team, all the scoring accomplishments, and he had 3 rings. You're making an argument with Pierce versus Scottie. That's where the argument goes.
Is Pierce better than Scottie Pippen? Okay, so if you do that, then it's automatically Pierce is the 4th best small forward of all time.
This is all hypothetical.
It's just a hypothetical question. If Pierce had 3, because you said right now, I think in a lot of people's opinion, after you get through LeBron, Bird, and KD, it's probably immediately Pippen.
Right.
And you just said if Pierce were to hypothetically have 3 rings with the Big 3, argument goes to him versus Pippen.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, 3 is not
3 rings, and you're the top guy on your team. I mean, granted, yes, Rondo kind of started taking off.
That's why I said we would have to examine that 2009, 2010, because by 2010 that was Rondo's. He was the one who carried the Celtics to the finals. 2009, the Celtics were the hottest team in the NBA before KD got injured. They were better than the 2018 that we saw. So I think if Pierce got back to back, the way the world thinks about Paul Pierce is totally different right now.
Yeah.
It's completely different. Like, the talks never really got up here in Boston about Bird versus Pierce and who's better and things like that. But that talk would have definitely got spicy up in Boston. You think
it would have been a lot of conversation of Pierce versus Bird?
You would have saw it. You would have seen
who's the greatest small forward in Boston.
It would have been a fun conversation to have here in Boston. It would have and no slide on Larry Bird, no slide on Paul Pierce. There's going to be people on Pierce's side, and there's going to be people on Bird's side. Oh, well, Bird did it with this. Well, Pierce had this advantage. There was going to be talk. It never got to that because there was no need to. Pierce didn't win enough. Larry to what Larry is to Boston is very, very special. We could get to reasons why. But hey, Larry Bird is an all-time great no matter what. But Pierce had 3 rings. People were going to have that and then naturally, who wouldn't have that conversation?
Yeah, But yeah, just the thought that came up in my mind, just thinking about Pierce's career, and again, he was an all-star player for the majority of his career, and I mean, he was very close to getting more than that 1 championship in 2008, but just
man, that's why
things fell apart.
One hurts. One hurts a lot, and for many reasons, for reasons like this, where Pierce only has 1 ring,
and he could have had at least.
He could have had more with the team that he had. He could have had more. He definitely could have had 2. We know 2 could have been really a possibility. And the Big 3, they lasted longer than they were supposed to, due to just how smart they were, the emergence of Rajon Rondo, and Doc Rivers as the coach and everything like that. They were going to be, anytime you were going to face the Celtics, even when the Celtics were up there in age And when Ray Allen left, you knew that it was still going to be a battle. Like, we were shuffling through players, Brandon Basses, the Courtney Lees, Jeff Green,
the Jermaine O'Neals,
like the
Marquise Daniels.
One day we got to go back and just look at the big three era once Ray Allen left, and just look at the players that shuffled in and out with that Boston team that you just tried to salvage any type of.
They tried to fill in the void of Ray Allen. They thought that was going to be Courtney Lee and Jason Terry, but Avery Bradley thought he was going to emerge even more. But yeah, that big three era is tough. It's tough, but yeah, just a conversation I want to spark up. Now, that debate of who's the greatest small forwards of all time, between Bird, LeBron, and KD. LeBron's clearly at the top, but again, I go back and forth with KD and Bird. I see various things about their games that one can't do. You know, KD's a scorer that Bird can't compare to. Bird can score, but KD is possibly the greatest scorer of all time. And then the way Bird can facilitate in his vision and everything, KD doesn't necessarily have that a part of his game, at least not at the level as Bird. I mean, I go back and forth. But anyways, I don't want to get caught up in that conversation too. Let's move on a little bit. NBA just finished up, and we could talk about this real quick before we get into the major debate that's going on. But just in total, thoughts on the NBA completing the bubble, the second half of their season, NBA inside of the bubble. They made it through testing all the time, every day. They had a couple early hiccups early on when it first started with Lou Williams, doing some stuff outside. And then I forgot another player got in trouble because he got food delivered or something like that. But other than that, there had no negative tests, no issues with players breaking protocol, anything like that.
Yeah,
NBA made it through.
NBA did an amazing job. I mean, once Lou Will did the wings thing, we should have foreseen what was going to happen with the Clippers. We should have understood from then on there that Clippers weren't going to be shit this year. But no, that's not the story we're talking about right now. NBA did an amazing job. We were here, man, on this show, very skeptical, saying that this really does not need to happen. And if you want to talk about a hiccup or something that really could have changed the complexion of this bubble, it was George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. There was a moment in time where this bubble, they canceled playoff games. And
other man that got shot in the back,
Jacob Blake.
Yeah,
they canceled they canceled playoff games, and players were really, especially the Lakers with LeBron James leading it, saying that they don't want to be here no more. They feel like this is a waste of the time, and that the message that coming to the bubble got skewed, and naturally was going to, no matter what. Once you start playing more important games, it starts to become more about the basketball and less about the message. And so that was another thing that the NBA had to deal with amongst the COVID and testing. You see why they were really hard on Lou Williams. You see why they were hard on Rashard Holmes when he went to just get some, a package outside of the bubble line that he was supposed to get to, and he got suspended or had to quarantine like for 10 days or something like that. So, they were really strict. Something that they're not doing. They were proactive. They weren't reactive. They were proactive. They already had systems and plans already that was going to happen if anything got messed up. And zero tests from day one. Zero positive tests from day one to the end of the bubble. That's amazing. That is amazing. They were the safest place in America.
Yeah. Shout out to, again, like I said in the beginning, shout out to Adam Silver and the rest of the team that put the bubble together. And like Marv said, they are proactive in how they went about planning everything and having different protocols and whatnot in place to ensure that everything ran smoothly. And at the end of the day, fans got good quality basketball. And when I think about quality basketball, I think about the bubble, not taking away anything from the Lakers and them winning the championship. Solid team over there led by LeBron James, Anthony Davis. They had great players over there. They did great winning the championship. I want to think about more, especially how some of these games and series turn out from the jump. I'm talking from round one, or even being in the bubble in general. And this is a question that goes out to you, Marv, and everybody tuned in. How much of a difference do you feel it was for certain players and teams, the fact that they were able to play in, the bubble is pretty much like a gym, a closed gym, no fans, it's just the teams out there balling, going hard, arguing with each other, no type of crowd interaction. Sure, you got the video, fans in the background or whatever, but at the end of the day, like we've heard some of these players say, it's just like being in the YMCA, playing in a closed gym, just running free court, basketball, as compared to its playoff situation, playoff vibes, home court, fans going crazy, a sea of whatever the team's color is, all that other stuff in the environment. How much of an impact or lack thereof, when you think about this bubble and teams and players, like, do certain teams get as far? Like, one thing that came up in my mind, I think of the Miami Heat. Miami Heat did a great job, solid team or whatever. But are Duncan Robinson and Hero getting this hot? They're on the road playing some of these teams. Like, do some of these players have the same confidence if they're on a road environment? Like, is it the same? Granted, again, the bubble playoff basketball quality was very good. But how different would it have been not inside of the bubble, on the road, with fans, everything?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I want to preface and say that no team had an advantage over any other team. They all played on an equal playing field. And then when I look at the playoffs, I'm trying to think, okay, what series would have been different? The total outcome, not the amount of games, but what series would have really been different had it not been in the bubble? I honestly think, the one big surprise I think everyone really saw was those two surprises: Denver and Clippers, and Miami Heat versus
Milwaukee.
Bucks. But I personally think Miami was going to beat Milwaukee no matter what, and you saw it through basketball. Like, you saw that they were just a better team basketball wise. Clippers, I think they were the least prepared team for the bubble for many reasons. You just could see that, Paul George coming out saying mentally he was in it for half of it. You got Lou Will coming in and out. You had Montrezl Harrell coming in and out of it. They mentally wasn't there. Had they had the real home court advantage with them, I think they beat Denver. And I think that's the only series I see where the outcome really, or the bubble really, affected a team in a negative way, was the Los Angeles Clippers. But shout out to Denver for stepping up for the moment. And the Clippers are just a fraudulent team, because they were the only team that I saw that didn't step up to this bubble environment. The only one. Kawhi, and everyone gets blamed. Kawhi Leonard, the superstar of the team, was ass when you needed him to be great. When you have debates about who's the greatest of all time, and can Kawhi take the next step to be better than LeBron, or the king of LA, and you have these teams chirping. When it's time to really step up in this environment, there shouldn't be an excuse, because it's an even playing field throughout. And that team, Clippers team, did not step up to the plate. That's the only team I can really think about that it affected negatively. I know it helped out a lot of veterans. You're not traveling no more. You get to, once you're done, answer a couple questions, you're back in your telly, chilling, playing Madden or whatever. Like, so, obviously crowd impact. There'll probably been bigger runs, because the crowd feels you and everything like that. But if you were one of the few, because obviously the ratings were low, but if you were one of the few who were really watching the games, at the end of the day, it came down to who was the better basketball team. Who was the better? If you watched the game, you've seen that, okay, there was not one thing you were like, oh, damn, they're really winning. It's like, oh, no, it makes sense. They're a better basketball team than this one, and that's why they advanced. Agree with that?
I hear that. I mean, I don't necessarily think, other than, a few games here and there, you'll see, like, oh, man, this star really took over and won a game. Like, clearly in the early Utah and Denver series, there was games where Jamal Murray won games for Utah. Denver, and uh, Donovan Mitchell won games for Utah. But I think for the majority of games, in my opinion, like you said, the better teams won games. There was not too many times where it's like, oh man, this guy went off crazy. Other than that series, I'm not saying that players didn't play good or all-star players didn't play to their potential. I'm not saying that, but I think in the bubble, for some reason, you got to see more of, okay, because of this team chemistry and being around each other and comfortable with each other in this bubble environment, and just off the course of the season, this is why this team is having success. Like you said, perfect example, Clippers, who struggled left and right. A team that most people thought they were making their way to the finals easy. The talent was there. The coach was there. They're going to make things happen. But yeah, I think team basketball really was showcased in the bubble, while the NBA took place and throughout the course of the playoffs too.
Couple comments here. Stefan says that Kawhi balled the entire playoffs, but he did lay an egg in Game 7. But that's a product of the teammates not carrying their weight. Paul George, obviously, Paul George. I didn't bring his name up for a reason. I don't hold him to a caliber that I hold Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, on the games that they lost against the Nuggets, fourth quarters, he was nowhere to be found. What's going on, Nate? Stefan also said, I think the Celtics would have beat the Heat because the crowd would have gave our starters a boost, especially with the lack of bench. But the Toronto series would have been different since they had home court. And I put the Celtics in this category of the better team beat the Celtics as well. Obviously Celtics would have had home court advantage against the Miami Heat. But I still think that Miami wasn't going to lose their toughness. They weren't going to just bow down to us. They were just built like that throughout the season. If you watch Miami, they did not care who they were playing, what type of environment there was. They was always going to come at you 24/7. I still think the Celtics weren't ready prior to the playoffs. I came here and I said, this bubble is the best case scenario for the Boston Celtics, due to the fact that there is no home court, no nothing, that this Celtics team could just rise to the occasion. They're quote unquote healthy, and that this would be the perfect scenario for them to win. Miami Heat, Miami don't even got fans like that anyway. So they going to Miami would have been like playing one of these bubble scrimmage games to begin with, because the Miami Heat fans don't show up till the third quarter. But I don't know, man. I think that Miami Heat would have beat the Celtics.
I disagree. I think home court advantage, just like, I think people probably felt Milwaukee Bucks, maybe their playoffs would have fared differently because, they're a great team at home. And I think, something about playing in Boston, shake teams up a little bit. So I don't know if I just see, I would have just had Miami getting through the Celtics if they were playing games in Boston, if it came down to games in Boston. I don't know. I think sometimes with your crowd and being comfortable at home, different things.
Had this series been close and it was going to a Game 7, I would hear you guys and I'd agree. Okay, home court, Celtics with home court. I'm taking that. I just think that what we saw and how it wasn't as close as it should have been. And we saw Bam Adebayo wasn't going to disappear against the Boston Celtics that series, and how the pick and roll defense was not going to be solved. The zone wasn't going to be solved because of a home court advantage. There was areas where the Celtics got beat, and it wasn't due to lack of energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how I see it.
But again, overall, I really like how, the bubble came together, and, as good as it was, I think we can all agree that we hope this is the last of the bubble.
Yeah, they did a great job. They did a great job, but I don't want to see it.
We hope this is the last of the bubble. Again. It was a nice little thing to do during the times we're living in, but I think collectively we all like to see NBA games played in home arenas again. teams going on the road doing their different things. The bubble was great, have its time in history, but everybody wants to get back to what the NBA normally looks like.
The NBA's 30 for 30 bubble is going to be great. And it's going to be great to hear the behind the scenes of how it got operated and
behind the scenes.
That's going to be a beautiful, because I know that there's definitely some, documentary teams that were in the bubble. If they were smart,
teams got video of people recording stuff.
They're recording, making sure everything's going right and everything. I can't wait to watch it. But NBA, take your time. If December, January, you guys can't get it to work out, take your time. Make sure that the players can play at home and we can get back to some type of normalcy, because we don't need another bubble.
Yeah, personally, I don't think there should be any rush to get the next season started. Like, similar to what you're saying, like, take your time, read the situation, because a bubble should be the absolute last resort of a return of the next NBA season. Nobody wants to see a bubble again. It worked. It was great, but nobody wants to see a bubble again. And I hope Adam Silver, are not similar to the NFL. They're really not similar to the NFL. It's not about the money. Take your time and make sure everything's good, comfortable, and see whatever possibility there is to be back in home arenas playing in front of fans in some capacity. NFL's a weird league, but in some cases they have fans, and we haven't necessarily heard stories of, the fans are catching COVID.
The NFL cares.
Yeah, true.
You probably have to sign some type of waiver or anything when you're joining these arenas.
Yeah, but the NFL is getting fans in some capacity, and the MLB, as they advance further into their playoffs, their plan is to have a few amount of fans return. I think wrestling is starting to have fans come back in small capacities, possibly. The NBA has been smart about it from the jump. I just hope they continue to have their meetings and whatever they need to do with the Players Association and the union, whatever. Just continue to take a smart approach, because they've done fine, in my opinion.
Right, and we have to also remember, yes, the NBA did a bubble, and we know that other teams didn't do a bubble. But the NBA were in a peculiar situation where it was they were close to playoffs starting.
It was the middle of the season, pretty much.
Closer to the end of the season. Playoffs were about to start, so teams were willing to sacrifice that. You're not telling these grown ass men, hey, we're about to do a full season
in Orlando. Yeah, it's not.
That's happening. No one's accepting that. That's why NFL players said, no, we're not doing that. That's why MLB players said, nah, we're not doing that. You're not taking us away from our families for a whole season.
Yeah. So again, I have faith in NBA and how they'll proceed in.
Sid says he believes there'll be fans by Super Bowl.
I hope so.
There's fans now.
Yeah.
The one I just tweeted. I was telling Mike, the one team currently, as we are doing this show, Tennessee Titans are playing. And if you know anything about the Tennessee Titans, you've been paying attention. They had over 20 plus COVID related issues. 20 plus. They got fans right now. That's the one. If you think there'd be one team that shouldn't be having fans, it'd be Tennessee Titans, and they got fans at home currently as we speak. So yeah, there's going to be fans at the Super Bowl for sure. How socially distanced it will be, we don't know, but there'll definitely be fans.
It's a whole different conversation. Interesting. But as we continue through this NBA conversation, let's get to it. Let's get to it, man. I know y'all watching. You can see the hat that I have on. We'll tap into that in a minute. But LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers got their 17th title. And let's quickly get this out the way. Yes, the Celtics and Lakers are tied at championships. Two of the greatest organizations in the history of the sport. It's not surprising. It's two teams who consistently, not saying that other teams don't, but for the most part, as you can see through the number of championships and success they've had, they consistently put out great quality teams that are in positions to win, which is why both teams have 17 championships.
Lakers consistently put out teams.
True.
That way.
True.
Celtics not the same.
My gripe with the Celtics and Danny Ainge and whatnot.
A lot of their early six. A lot of the reasons why we have 17 championships
because the 50s and 60s.
I mean, if you think about it, we're both born around the same time. We've seen 6 Laker championships now in our lifetimes,
and one Celtics.
and 1 Celtics. So consistently, Lakers have been.
Let's hope the tide will change, and maybe that tide will change with the new general manager. But regardless, quick question for you. Maybe this is an easy one for everybody tuned in. Who will be the first to get 18?
Who will be the first to get 18? And
who will be the first to get 18 championships?
You know how in fantasy, if you do fantasy football or fantasy basketball, there's the projections, and when you face up against an opponent and win.
Yep.
I think it's legit 50-50 right now. You look at the projections of you look at where the Lakers are, and you look at where the Celtics are. It's 50-50. I think the projection is 50-50. Now, what do I believe who has the best chance? It's tough. It's a great question. I think it's the Lakers. I think they have a better chance currently to get the 18th championship before the Celtics.
Yeah, my thing with the Lakers, they're a good team. And I think what's going to boil down to, they're a good team. They're an older team, too. That's the thing. And, luckily for them, throughout the course of this season in the bubble, health was on their side. Anthony Davis, who's struggled with injuries throughout a lot of his career, in and out of lineups, there's been times when people are like, dang, he's kind of soft. He's getting hurt. He's great, but he's kind of soft. He was healthy. Rondo got hurt. Rondo came back. He was fine. Dwight Howard, who's had issues with his back and stuff, he's been fine.
They're definitely older, and that's gonna be pretty much their challenge next year. I figured they're gonna try to go younger. Maybe you have to give Kuzma that extra role now. Instead of relying on the KCPs and things like that, you try to give Kuzma a bigger role onto the team. Anthony Davis, now he's a champion. He has that veteran mindset. I'm not saying he's going to get better. I think what you see of AD is what you're going to get for the rest of the career. But you're going to get a smarter AD. You're going to get someone who understands what it takes to win now. And we see that all the time. When a player knows how to win, it changes their game. It changes how they are in the playoff. AD for a while, even during these playoffs, I was even saying he's a little soft.
Mm-hmm.
He's not reliable. He hit a big shot in the playoffs, the game winner. And then from there, you could say, okay, he's going to become something. So, Lakers got the foundation going into year 2 now with that team, that nucleus, adding some pieces. I think that, we don't know what you're going to get from the Clippers. I think Lakers have a good shot to get 18 before Celtics. Before the Celtics. When we talk about Celtics, Mike, I've been on this show and I've told you many times what this next upcoming year is about to look like.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for the Celtics.
It's not going to be an easy road. There's still a lot to be seen. What type of team you're going to put around the Celtics going forward. But it's interesting. Like I said, if there was going to be a projection, if Vegas was going, Celtics and Lakers will have very similar numbers of projections of who could win the next one, because they're both really good, talented teams.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I would say that the Lakers have a better chance of getting their 18th championship. With that being said, I don't think the Celtics are far off by any means. I think, like you said on shows before, I truly believe if Danny Ainge put the right team together around the young stars that the Celtics currently have, they're in a position to make the finals. I don't think they're that many pieces away from being on that level of making the finals, my personal opinion. I think, obviously, like you just talked about, Marv, the Lakers are now definitely battle-tested. They have the championship pedigree now for sure. LeBron has several. AD now has one, who's a superstar. Rondo now has his second. Like, those guys over there knows what it takes to win. They know what it means to battle, whether it be on this current Lakers team or teams from the past, because they have a lot of veterans. They know what it takes to get to the promised land and win it all. Celtics don't have that at all, and I think that's what's the biggest separator.
Here's an example. Sorry to cut you off. Look at Kyle Lowry.
Mhm.
Kyle Lowry, his whole time in the playoffs, he's a bomb in the playoffs. He never showed up. There was times he was scoring 0 points a game in the playoffs, and that was the thing about Kyle Lowry and DeRozan. Like, these guys they're great regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, they don't know how to win. Kyle Lowry wins with Kawhi Leonard, has a great NBA Finals, wins with Kawhi Leonard, and then you see what he did during the playoffs. You see the struggles he gave the Celtics. Sometimes by himself, only one being able to score for that team. Once you know how to win, it changes your whole mindset.
And again, that's what I think is the biggest separator between Celtics and Lakers, Celtics and a few other teams out there. They don't have that mindset of what it takes to get there. I mean, yeah, they've gotten far in the playoffs, Eastern Conference Final, but they don't really know what it takes to get to the finals because they haven't. The current nucleus hasn't gone to the finals, and nobody on the team currently have won a championship. You got guys out of there fresh out of college or fresh from Europe or whatever other leagues over there. I think that's the main separator, which is why I think Lakers are closer to winning their next one. Like I said, Celtics are not far off. It's all about the moves and transactions Danny Ainge makes, really soon to put this team, on the level that I believe that they could make it to. But
it makes me sick that Lakers has 7.
Oh yeah, as a Celtics fan, you're not happy.
There was a time where you remember the times where we were chasing 18 when we were at the big three era, chasing 18. Lakers has 16, and something like, just get 18. Now you got 2 more. Lakers were horrible for a very long time, so you're not even seeing that the Lakers are going to win a championship anytime soon.
Maybe it was. I think it was 2008. Remember how in the practice facility the Celtics, they always had the blank banner.
Yeah,
that was for 17. That wasn't for 18, right? They had that blank banner up to get the 17th one or the 18th.
17, because after that they removed them and put in the real banner.
Okay, but yeah,
it sucks, but hey. This should motivate. I mean, the rivalry is not the same, obviously, anymore between Lakers and Celtics, but it should motivate. Some guys. So the Celtics organization
should motivate Danny Ainge.
So hey, let's try to. We used to be the only team that was on top of the top. But, hey, Celtics, most championships in the NBA. Celtics, most championships in the NBA. You can't say that no more.
Nah.
First time in my lifetime, you can't just say the Celtics have the most championships in the NBA.
And for those of you out there who always think that the NBA or think the NBA is fixed and the fix is always out in the NBA. The NBA wants to make time money. You have to have them to duke it out in the finals.
For the 18th. It's beautiful. That'd be a beautiful thing.
You have to have the Celtics Lakers play in the finals for that 18th championship. That'd be, for those who think the conspiracy theorists out there, that'd be the perfect scenario. Celtics Lakers, and the whole tagline, every commercial, everything. Who's gonna get 18?
Yeah, that'd be
beautiful.
That right there,
make a lot of money.
That'll make a lot of I'm trying to think of what finals would be as intriguing as that. Maybe Nets Golden State, having KD face Curry and them if they could make it. Clippers Lakers, we didn't get to see it in the conference final. I think that's lost its juice.
Yeah, the only intriguing Celtics Lakers would be intriguing, and I would love to see Golden State Nets or Nets Lakers.
Yeah, people will still want to see Giannis versus LeBron in the finals. That you could still market that.
True.
But yeah, I think that's the one that right there. Teams got to see that Tatum has taken the next step up, and now you're going into this year. It could be like a passing of the torch scenario.
That's exactly what it be. Oh man, Marv, we writing a script for the NBA. We writing it. They're passing into have the Celtics get there. Lakers lose. LeBron says, That's the next guy up. Those are the
And LeBron's will be in
Tatum
his,
and
like,
Brown,
what,
next guy's
18th,
up.
his 18th, 19th year.
Yeah.
He'd
He's
just
like
be
37 years old. Yeah.
he'd gladly, and LeBron's done a good job at, upping the young up-and-comers. He'd gladly say, we got beat. Jason Tatum, these guys are going to be a problem for a long time.
Yep, and that's the storybook ending. That's the storybook ending right there of the 2020-21 NBA Finals. That'd be a beautiful ending of LeBron passing the torch. Oh boy! But we keep bringing up his freaking name. We got to talk about it. LeBron James has number 4.
Number 4 rings, man.
4
rings.
It's pretty impressive. Nobody else in the league. Curry has 3.
Curry, he's the top dog.
But LeBron has the most rings right now, currently in the league. Now, is he the top player currently in the league?
Without KD, yeah.
Without KD, yeah. Giannis is nice, but I think Giannis lacks. He doesn't have it all, in my opinion. He's dominant.
Very dominant.
But he doesn't necessarily have it all like I think LeBron has it all together. And yes, KD, I think Kawhi screwed it up this year. If Kawhi had a different playoff run, in my opinion,
Kawhi, I know we're going to talk about Paul George and all that stuff. Kawhi still could have beat the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah. Kawhi had to take that series over. Yeah. And he's capable of doing so. I mean, he did it all in 2019.
Yeah. He's capable of doing it. We know he has it. He has it in him. And that game 7, like if we choose superstars for not showing up in big games,
that's
like
a big game
James Harden, we kill him all the time when it's a big game and he doesn't show up. You have to play both ways. I call that man Thanos. But Thanos, he came back. We saw what happened the next movie. Thanos.
They went for the head.
Wasted no time.
Chopped his head off. Yeah, we got to see how Kawhi bounces back. Kawhi's in that conversation. Yep. I think, again, I agree with you. Without Durant, I think, it's LeBron, and he kind of secured it, getting the championship this year, getting number 4, the Finals MVP. I mean, it's impressive. His 17th year, the guy's 35 years old. He got another championship, and he played great. Didn't look like he missed a beat. He didn't show any sign of age or anything. It was LeBron James.
Body dudes out there, 35.
Still LeBron James, the guy that we've seen for 17 years now. But now it raises the next conversation, which is the topic of everywhere you turn to that's talking about the finals and LeBron. Where does he now rank in terms of all-time greats? And people now really question, I've seen a couple articles, he's rings, he's at the top of all these stats, top 10 or top 5 in a lot of different stats. He's had the longevity. He has championship rings and MVP rings and a lot of hardware behind him. Is that now put LeBron as the greatest player of all time?
All right. So to answer the question is no. Now,
simple answer.
Now, but we still got a show to do, right? so
I like that.
Listen, this GOAT debate has been happening for a long time. Maybe since people used to talk about it in Miami. It was a little whisper. You thought that you're
the
crazy.
Cleveland championship.
And then the Cleveland championship
really took off.
Is when it took off. It should have never took off in the Cleveland championship. LeBron had no. I never thought this debate should ever happen. He didn't deserve a seat at the table to compare himself with the like of Michael Jordan at all. I can break down numbers and we can do that for sure. No problem. Now, let me say this. LeBron has finally put himself in a place where I don't mind the argument. Because what's an argument? An argument is that two people speaking up for their side of the player. Now people can come and say, hey, can we talk about Jordan versus LeBron? I think LeBron has entered that door where you can start talking about, okay, let's look at LeBron's career and let's compare it to Michael Jordan. Before, he has never done that. He hasn't done enough for me. The championship losses, the Dallas Mavericks, him not making to the finals, this not doing enough, having 3 out of 9. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for me to even consider it, waste my time, waste my breath, argue with people. There was a point I say, okay, Jordan is a GOAT. He won 6 rings. He does da. And then once everyone rebuttal says, no, you guys don't get it. You guys don't get it. LeBron has won his 4th chip on his 3rd team, something that's never been done before. He's been the best player each time. This 4th ring is impressive. Like, we know Magic's got 5, Kobe's got 5, Jordan's got 6, Tim Duncan's got 5, and then you got Jordan here with, LeBron here with number 4. He deserves the conversation. I'm not mad at anyone no more when they want to bring up, oh, LeBron. I'm not mad. You can tell me your argument, and I'll listen to it, because LeBron deserves that for what he's done in his career, and his career is not done. Like you said, Mike, he's going to be top 10, top 5 in a lot of statistical things. At age 35 of what he's doing, one day we're going to look back at him like, yo, so just like when we watched The Last Dance. You and me watched The Last Dance. We were like, damn, Jordan did that with that bum team at that age in his last year. We didn't really realize that championship run against Utah Jazz, that how old Jordan was, how he didn't have help, and he willed his team. There's going to be a point where we look back at LeBron like, damn, he did that at age 35, 17 years into the league. That's really, really impressive. But he's not the GOAT. He's not the GOAT. He doesn't have he hasn't done enough for me to, and that's just puts Michael in a larger pedestal. It's not, and no knock on LeBron James. I think he's a fantastic player. I'm not a LeBron hater. When he got that championship against Golden State, I was rooting for the Cavs. Can't stand Golden State. I was rooting for LeBron James and the Cavs to win, and he was impressive, very impressive. What he did with the Lakers were the best team in the NBA. They were the best team in the bubble. They deserved to win. He deserved to win the Finals MVP. 4 rings is very impressive. If you want to bring up an argument, you want to talk LeBron James, say he has a seat at the table with the Kobe's, with Michael Jordan. I'm here to listen to it. I can't deny LeBron James no more at the table.
Yeah, I mean, simply agreeing with your opinion. LeBron is not the greatest of all time, in my opinion, and I hear the debates will be there now. You know, like we said, since 2016, they've gotten louder and louder and louder. And it's fine. You know, I personally, I'm not a LeBron fan. And, you know, when I say this to people, they'll be like, oh, why you hate on the king? My brother's a king. You hating on the king. Why you hating on the king? It's not about hating. It's not like I hate him or LeBron James has been my favorite team's rival for as long as, you know, I've really been paying attention to the NBA and sports and been a Celtics fan. LeBron James has been my team's rival. Playing with the Cavs, he was a rival. He went to Miami. He was beating the Celtics' ass. And then now, fast forward, after all of those years, he went back to the Cavs and beat us some more. And then fast forward to year 17. Now he's the guy who used to be my favorite team's ass, now playing for the team that's the Celtics rival in the Lakers. A combination of a lot of that is why I don't like LeBron. Now, his career, everything he's done and accomplished, I get it. I understand it. I respect it. It's all great. It's greatness. Truly is. But I don't have him on the level of Michael Jordan. I just don't. You know, and people say, well, look at the stats and all he's done in his longevity. That's fine and cool. I don't think he is built the way Michael Jordan is built when it comes down to playing in a basketball game. I don't care if LeBron is 6'10", 260 pounds, you know, oh, he can facilitate and play point. I don't care about all of that. I think when it comes down to a basketball game and you need to win a game by dominating a game, I'm taking Michael Jordan all day, every day over LeBron James, easily. Now, I think a different conversation that can be had is with Kobe. That's where I think the real debate starts. I don't want to hear no LeBron, Michael Jordan debate. The debate for me is LeBron, Kobe.
LeBron, Kobe. I have LeBron over Kobe. I have LeBron over Kobe.
People,
I think LeBron.
I think that's where the major debate starts. Like, I think people will argue LeBron and Jordan, but I think it's still at a level where majority of people's like, yo, I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing that. But LeBron, Kobe, now you can have a conversation pop off about LeBron and Kobe.
I think LeBron's a better player than Kobe Bryant. I mean, shout out to
Hey,
Kobe. You know,
hey.
Shout out to Kobe. Rest in peace. Thanks for all that he's done. Once again, not a knock on Kobe, just a testament who LeBron James is. LeBron was a better player than Kobe Bryant. You look at some of the teams. Just look at the teams that LeBron brings to the finals sometimes when it comes to Cleveland Cavaliers. Kobe's not bringing that team to the finals. We've seen Kobe with bad teams. He doesn't make his teams better. LeBron finds a way to make his teams better by his style of play, and he still does it by averaging 27 points a game with the assists, with the rebound. Nate says Kobe still got that killer instinct. Absolutely. And there's no one who's got crazy killer instinct as Michael Jordan like Kobe. Kobe has a crazy killer instinct, and like Mike was saying his argument of who you want to win you the game. I'd rather have Kobe win me the game than LeBron, because I know I can go down with the shit with Kobe. But that's not the question. Who's better? Who's greater? LeBron James is a better basketball player and is greater than Kobe Bryant.
So with all the talk of, well, damn, Kobe's just a carbon copy of Michael Jordan. They're the same person. Kobe's Michael Jordan 2.0 in a sense. And then, but it's, people still say Kobe and LeBron, that comparison, that debate, that's where it gets interesting for me. Because, I agree with that. Kobe is a very smart man. He came into the league knowing who the greatest player of all time was, and he copied his career to the T. Every move, every spin, everything he did was a copy of Michael Jordan. And it makes sense. This man, Kobe, if I'm Kobe, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. And I'm built like him. I have the same type of game like him.
Built just like
I'm going to do everything I can to play like him. And going down that road and path Kobe went down, he's now one of the greats because he copied Jordan. And no one ever, it's not an argument. No one's looking at Kobe like, damn, why do you have to go copy Michael Jordan? No, it's a smart move. And in doing so, it got him 5 championship rings and a lot of accolades similar to Jordan as well. And that's when I look at it like, am I taking LeBron over Kobe, knowing that Kobe is pretty much another Michael Jordan?
Yeah, but Michael Jordan didn't have Shaq.
That's the big one right there. That's the big one right there.
And that's not a knock on Kobe, because Kobe performed when he needed to. Jordan was by far way better his 4-6 years in the NBA than Kobe Bryant was, by far. It's like Kobe came in just as a young gunner, athletic kid, man, who got to work his way into being the offensive assassin that he was. Jordan came into the league dropping 30.
Yeah, he was straight.
Obviously, and Jordan, let's be fair, Jordan came into the league 21, 22 years old. Kobe came into the league 17. Right. So there's different arguments there, but if with Kobe had the luxury of having Shaquille O'Neal, the most dominant basketball player ever to play the game, as his leader. Michael didn't have that.
Yeah, Michael came into a league, and there's people out there that want to talk. Well, LeBron came into the league, and the Cavs made it finals very early in his career. But what you're saying, everything you just said, Marv, makes sense. Michael came into the league, and he was on a bad team, dominant from the jump. Kobe came into the league, kind of had to work his way and find his way. Like he wasn't a starter. He's coming off the bench behind Eddie Jones, whatnot. LeBron came into the league already anointed the guy. Jordan came into the league. He wasn't anointed the guy yet, but I tell you, it didn't take long at all for people to say, oh, that guy's different. And, since I posted it on my social media yesterday, the day before, or the Lakers won, does this make LeBron better than Kobe? And it was a question in my mind as well. I think I can firmly say now, in my opinion, LeBron's number 2. LeBron's right behind Jordan.
Damn, I know that took a lot for you to say.
It's LeBron's number 2. It took a lot for me because I'm telling you, I'm not a LeBron fan. I respect his career and everything he's done and accomplished, but I'm not a fan of him because of the rivalry that's built up inside of me. But damn, LeBron James,
four is impressive.
4 rings,
especially when, to be honest, I didn't know if he was going to get 4. You looked at, okay, they got AD. The roster still wasn't. I wasn't hyped about the roster. I wasn't hyped that they got the number 1 seed. I was the foolish one. It was I who thought the Clippers were going to smack the Lakers when it came.
Did too.
When it came to real basketball, and I was wrong. Didn't even get a chance to take a seat. But yeah, so Lakers. I didn't even think. I thought number 4 was going to be really hard for LeBron to get. He got 4, and that does change how you look at him and where he places. Now, shout out to Bron for doing that, because some crazy way he had lost his finals, he would have dropped tremendously to the if he lost to Miami Heat.
Yeah, that's not good.
If he had lost to the Miami Heat, I don't think that, like, if he had lost to the Clippers, okay, people thought that the Clippers were a better team to begin with. Some people did, it was split. But he had lost to the Heat. I don't know how that looks on LeBron.
His finals record's already bad to begin with.
I don't know how that looks on Bron. So I'm glad he needed to. He got 4. 4 is huge. You can't. I think Nate said it. Shaq. You put yourself with Shaq. You're putting yourself with closer to Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant. And, Michael's the pedestal at number 6, and then you go into the final. That's something we didn't bring up yet, but I know you were having that conversation with a couple of people earlier. Going to the finals 10 times that's a lot, especially in our generation. Like, going to the finals 10 times. You've been in the league 17 years.
It's a lot.
There was a point. And people won't even remember this. There was a point where people were questioning if LeBron was ever going to win a ring. Well, Michael did it finally after 7-8 years. When is LeBron going to win a ring?
He got it after 7-8 years, right?
Like that conversation is wiped to the point now he has 4 rings. It's quite a journey that LeBron has been on. And like we said, we don't know what the future holds. He hasn't slowed down. He's going to beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. I know you were trying to argue me he's not. He's going to smash that. He's 35 and the men's averaging 26-27 lights. It's not when you're looking at LeBron, you don't see him struggling getting these points. It hasn't looked like, oh man, by next year it's really about to start to dwindle.
Yeah, especially in this day and age, being 35 years old in a sport is nothing now. And I'm not just talking NBA. I'm talking any sport. You can be 35 in basketball, football, baseball, and 35 is nothing now. You can still play at an elite level. And yeah, when I first...
I'm not going to let you get away with that. Who else is 35 played at elite level in the NBA?
In the NBA, well, I'm just saying, if you put the effort in today's day and age, the way you can take care of your body and do different things, it's possible to still be serviceable as a player at 35 up. Like, how old is Chris Paul? He's still pretty damn good. And he's taking care of his body. Again, as long as you're putting in the time and effort at that age, you can still be serviceable in a sport. In today's day and age with technology and different things you can do to take care of your bodies. And yeah, when I first had that conversation with you about him catching Kareem, I was like, hell no, 35, that's not happening. But again, he's taking care of his body and he's still as dominant as he once was. So now, I can't make that argument anymore of him not catching that. Yeah, I think it's easy for me now to say LeBron is number 2 in terms of all-time players, right behind Jordan. And it's Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. I know people will come and argue. The argument for big men to me, because there will be those people, well, what about Bill Russell? And what, like, here's my thing with big men. And maybe I stand on this mountaintop alone, but I'm going to speak my piece. As dominant as big men can be, Shaq, Kareem, when I think of the game of basketball and I think of the greats like LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, like them dudes you can inbound the ball to them and they can come up the court and dominate it from the jump. A big man, as dominant as they can be, at the end of the day, somebody got to get them the ball.
Someone's got to feed them.
Someone's got to feed them the ball for them to be as dominant as them. I don't care how many points Kareem has scored or Shaq or Will. I don't care, Bill Russell. It's all great. But at the end of the day, somebody has to take the court from one side to the other and get them the ball so that they can post up, make their move, and score all these points. When you think of LeBron and Durant and Jordan and Kobe, they inbound the ball, they dribble it up, and they can tell everybody to move. I'm going to go get this basket right now. So that's why when I think of all-time greats, for me personally, as dominant as big men are, and I understand, I respect it, I don't put them in the category of the guards, the scorers, because it's just different.
And it's tough. It's tough to, like, you can compare LeBron and Jordan. I hate when people say, oh, they play different positions. You can't compare. No, you can compare LeBron and Jordan. You can compare KD, Jordan. You can compare KD, Kobe. You can compare those. You can compare wings. Dwayne Wade, LeBron. You can compare them. That's a cop-out for some people who don't want to have that argument. It's tough to compare Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Michael Jordan. It's very difficult. That's really two different styles of play.
Yes.
Kareem, like, that dude's scored the most points in the NBA, has played in the NBA forever, and has many rings with it. When Magic Johnson was on the team, Magic Johnson wasn't the best player on the floor, which is crazy to think.
In the early years, for sure. Yeah.
Which is, like, that's crazy to think about. It was Kareem, but then when you get to the all-time debates and things like that, it's tough. Where do you place these big men? They deserve to be talked about for sure. It's just like, but for some of the reasons that you mentioned, it's hard to place. It's hard to place them.
Yeah, it's just tough.
God,
it's just tough.
Sorry, we got the Tennessee Buffalo game going on in the background. Tennessee's just destroying Buffalo.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just tough. But again, I think I can firmly say LeBron is number 2 in my opinion. And I know it's not the popular opinion with a lot of people, because again, I posted this and I got, hell no, Kobe is behind LeBron now. Hell no. I think now I'm comfortable with, saying that it goes Jordan, LeBron.
You got guys like KD and AD, big men, and can shoot. Yeah, man, NBA is changing. NBA is changing for sure. I mean, KD 6'11",
still plays like a guard.
And plays like a guard. Giannis, obviously, he can't shoot, but he can do things that big men can't even consider doing. He could take the ball up the court, 3 steps, yam it on someone, guard. The NBA has definitely changed. It's a different style of big men right now. The Enes Kanters came to the league too late.
Yeah, his career is gonna wind down very soon. But yeah, man. Again, well, last question I gotta ask, and I don't want to really ask this, but I want to ask it because it's part of our job in the media. We gotta ask these questions. Conversations have to happen. Is there any way LeBron passes Jordan? Does it just take 7 rings? Just tying him, pass him?
I mean, LeBron gets 6. That means 12 finals appearances. 12 final appearances, 6, and he's the most dominant player.
Like
That's going to be very interesting. And, you know, as Michael Jordan fans, I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan. It's not going to be an easy pill to swallow, but it's going to be something you have to really sit and consider.
we don't have to go deep into this.
No, we don't have to, but
because it's going to piss me off.
But if LeBron James gets 6 rings, and he's 35 now, that means he's getting 6 at the age of 37, 38, 39. That's a force. Now, if he gets 6 rings, and it's due to the fact that AD's just a monster.
Yeah, like he's taking a seat on the team.
A back seat. I don't think a LeBron James team, LeBron can ever take a back seat. But yeah, that'd be a lot. That'd be a hard
to get 6 rings and play at the level that he's playing at. Like that's 6 rings, and by that time you're probably number 1 all time in scoring.
Yeah, for sure. And you broke every single
playoff record.
It's
but I just a thought out there. I don't know. You know, I personally, with the NBA getting back to regular in stadium whatnot, I personally don't think LeBron's gonna win any more championships. That's just me. Could it happen? It could happen. Lakers aren't necessarily going anywhere, but I think starting from this season, NBA's gotten tougher. Lakers were a good team, but now that there's more balance in the league now, it's going to be a tough season for everybody. But, hey, remains to be seen. Congrats on the Lakers and their championship win in LeBron. Congrats. You know, I'm an NBA fan. Let's say congrats.
Let's move on, man, to the last topic of the night. Thank you all for everyone who's been sticking late here with us on Double M. But, you know, when this finals, when this is something big, you know, we got to take a little extra time to dissect it all.
Yeah.
Last topic of the night, you know, something that we've been here following is these presidential debates, presidential elections that's going on. We had great conversation last week, if y'all missed it, about, you know, the stimulus checks and the previous debates, Trump versus Biden, Trump getting coronavirus. It was a wild conversations we had here. After that, you know, there was the vice president debate between Pence and Kamala. Real quick, we don't got to spend too much time on it, but your thoughts?
You know, like I said, to start off the show, that debate clearly was a lot calmer and more tame than the presidential debate. It was a debate that you're used to seeing.
Right.
You know, one thing that I was looking forward to seeing was obviously Biden and, you know, I want to say the Democratic side coming out of that presidential debate. They didn't really show that much fight and backbone and spine. Like Trump kind of made Biden his
puppet.
Yeah, his puppet. Like it wasn't. It was, it just
what's that motion?
You just kind of wiped the floor with Biden in the sense the way he spoke to him, the conversations that they were having. It just wasn't good for Biden. And I wanted to see how the Democratic side and Kamala representing that side would kind of clap back and snap back to a lot of the conversations and arguments. And she held her own. You know, Pence clearly isn't Trump in terms of how he speaks and how it goes on, but, you know, Pence is trying to get the upper hand on things and, you know, speak over her and, you know, kind of take over with his comments. And Kamala wasn't having any of that. You know, she'd for sure tell him, like, yo, hold your horses. I'm speaking. It's my turn to speak. Like, she wasn't going to let all that happen. Trump, you know, Biden wouldn't have said anything like that. Biden just, you know, calm, cool, and collective. Like I said previously, I don't think he's ever been in a wild conversation like that to really stand his ground. But Kamala, I feel, held her own. But overall, I mean, just looking at the debate in a whole, they both were making points on both of their sides, and for the most part, they were both able to get their points across without being interrupted as much as we saw in the presidential debate. But it was a debate. It was what you expect a debate to see, what you expect a debate to be and look like.
Right. They both went into this debate with the mindset of, I don't really care what questions are going to be asked. I'm just going to get off these points.
Yeah.
I'm going to get off these points that I need to get off. It don't matter what questions being asked. I need to get these points off. Mike Pence, he has a way with words. Like, that man right there didn't answer one single question. Nah. But he was he was talking all right. He was talking. He made sure, like I said, he was going to get his points across. And he says, like, I'm going to answer that question.
He said, I heard your question, but I want to make sure I say this. I heard your question, but I want to make sure I say this to the people.
That was the way he was able to do the runaround. I need whoever his coach is. I need that. I need a coach when I get pressed with some hard questions. I can just be able to just
dance around
because that man he did a great job.
Oh, he was
I'm watching it. I'm like, wow, this man is not answering a goddamn thing. But he was able to just chat.
Yeah.
Get off the points that he needed to get off of what Trump wants to do, with Biden's not doing, what the stimulus checks not. It was, hey, like you said, it was definitely a different tone, more calm. The moderator was very fun because she didn't know what to do. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank
you,
that
was when it came down for them to be done talking. Just repeating. Thank you, Vice President.
And they were just walking all over.
They were just like, yeah, cool. I'm still talking. Like, I hear you, but whatever. So, but yeah, it was, at least, like I said, it was a more calm situation and environment. I don't think is there going to be a presidential debate.
Last time I heard, they were trying to do it virtually.
Oh, hell no!
And Trump was like, "I'm not doing," because due to him having
corona. I understand that. That's why.
And Trump was like, "I'm not doing it virtually." And then now they need proof of Trump's tests and everything. So I don't know. I haven't been following as close to what's the next debate going to look like. If you guys know, you could put it in the chat.
I feel like don't they do like a town hall? They're supposed to do a town hall type, but
something like, yeah, that's what the goal is. But I think they're waiting on.
I don't think anybody would be upset if a debate didn't happen. I mean, for pure entertainment, I'm sure people would love to see it, but in terms of just, I don't know if people probably don't care if it happens or not at this point in time.
Yeah, you pretty much know what you're gonna get now. I think people should have their decision pretty much made.
Go out and vote.
Go out and vote, guys. Go out and vote. Like I said, early ballots are available now. Start getting things done. Get your parents, get your friends, get your neighbors. Vote.
So long show, but a good show.
Yes, sir.
Long show, but a good show.
Good talks. Good debate talks. Yeah, shout out to Braun for always finding a way for us to defend him somehow or talk bad about him, or But from what I've seen, they're all out the bubble. They got the hell out of there. They're all home.
Yeah, they with their family and their kids. Good for them. Good for them. It's been a long couple of months.
That's a huge sacrifice. There's been a lot of jokes on social media about Bronny. Bronny was wilding when Dad was out. So
shout out to them players getting back to their wives and their ladies that they've probably been missing.
I was watching. You remember? Do you remember? Do you know Chris Haynes? He's it's like a TNT broadcaster. So he's been in the bubble.
Yeah, Chris Haynes. Yeah,
he's been in the bubble for on many.
Yeah.
And he said on TV, he's like, so the guy's like, yo, you happy to go home? So I already got my bags packed. I hope the Lakers finish this thing tonight. And he was like, I told my wife, when I come home, I don't want to see the kids.
You know what that means.
He said, I told my wife already, kids are great. I miss them everything. When I come home,
Just give me a weekend. Just give me a weekend.
I don't want to see the kids.
Give me a weekend with just me and you, and yeah. But shout out to them
that
going
was
home,
hilarious,
man.
man. I can't even imagine having a wife and kids and you stuck in the telly
On Zoom and FaceTime with them. Yeah, so it's good that they're home. Everybody's back to their family, and they continue to stay safe.
Yeah, man. Any last words for Double M?
Great show. Like you said, appreciate everybody jumping in on the chat, having a conversation with us. We always appreciate it. It makes the show go. It makes the show go.
Yeah, through whatever topics we talk about.
Yeah, always. Double M signing out.
Yeah, man. Double M. Shout out to everyone. Thank you for the likes, the views, the subscriptions, everything like that.
The GOAT.
As a reminder, he's got the GOAT here.
And he got
I got the late great
the Mamba.
And we signing out here to another great NBA year. Last question, sorry. Because you're more into this than I am. How is 2K working right now? How did they release a game with like the bubble while they were still in the bubble?
Well, I don't have 21, so I don't know what 21 looks like. I mean, I got 20. I mean, I don't think they necessarily have to change anything.
I mean, but like the announcers bring up things from last season, but last season wasn't done. So like, what are the announcers saying in 2K21?
That's a good question. You can't really be like, it's a good question. I don't have 2K21, so I don't know how it sounds. In terms of announcers talking about last year's stats or how they performed in the playoffs, I don't know. That's a good question. Even 22 is going to be interesting.
So like, I'm guessing 2K21 had to come out due to contract, or like they had to just, we had to fulfill.
Yeah, they got to drop that game. I don't know
regardless.
if there was really any delay or anything about it, but we saw the hype for 21 coming out. I don't know how it sounds in the broadcast and everything is, but that game's out there. Will I be playing it? Probably not. But
this is interesting to know that a game came out for new season, and the season not even over. Rookies aren't even.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'll ask someone who has 2K21. How's that looking? I mean, now with video games, things can get updated easily.
Yeah,
but,
true.
Hey, that's sorry. Add a couple more minutes to the show, but just crossed my mind. Shout out to everyone listening. It's Double M Tuesdays. Appreciate y'all. We out.